We have multiple Xbox reports to go over, and screenshots for the canceled God of War game have shown up online. So we got the reveal for Halo Campaign Evolved. One of the things people were wondering, because this game was shown off at the Halo Infinite World Championships, is would there be multiplayer? And there is no multiplayer with this. They're sticking true to the actual release, or at least there's no online multiplayer, because you could play LAN and everything with Halo Combat Evolved, which was great times back in the day. But even with that, there's no multiplayer maps, no way that you're actually going to be able to play PvP here in Halo Campaign Evolved, which is a bit of a head scratcher, because I'm starting to think here, where are they going with the next multiplayer expansion for Halo? We know Halo Infinite is winding down. This is the last Halo Infinite World Championship. So they're going to be moving on to something new in the multiplayer realm so that they can continue with all the stuff they do with multiplayer. Is that going to be a direct sequel to Infinite, or is it going to be something brand new? I actually really hope it's a direct sequel to Infinite. I want to see where the story goes. And I think the Infinite multiplayer is phenomenal. But Halo Campaign Evolved, they showed it off in Unreal Engine 5. The game looks stunning. Like, it looks like it is going to be a really nice upgrade if you are a fan of the series itself. I'm absolutely playing it. I've played the campaign for Halo Combat Evolved. I can't even count the amount of time, so many times before, but I'm very excited to play this new iteration of the series. But when it comes to multiplayer, Halo Studios actually gave a reason for dropping the PvP multiplayer in Campaign Evolved. And this was an interview with Windows Central. Executive producer Damon Kahn says this: "We're not trying to replace what is a masterpiece in the original. We're trying to basically make something that stands kind of shoulder to shoulder with it, using new tools, new energy to get a little bit of a fresh take on some things, but honoring the legacy." And then he says here about 4-player co-op online and all that. He says, so yes, it's a campaign experience, but it's not only a single player experience. And Halo has been always about reconnecting a strong sense of community, and then also telling those stories and sharing those experiences together. And we believe that is where, we're really going to be able to bring people together with this new release. Now, co-op has always been a staple within Halo. It's always very fun to play with more people as you play through the campaign. It gets chaotic and it's just a great time. Everyone was pretty pissed off when they took out the split screen co-op in Halo 5. So we finally have it back here with Halo Campaign Evolved, which I'm pretty excited about, because I'll definitely take advantage of all the co-ops on there. But the multiplayer side, it would have been cool if they would have added an additional multiplayer game mode and just taken Halo CE and given maps from that Unreal Engine 5, and I think that would have had a massive community of gamers going out there and playing it, especially now that they are releasing it everywhere. And I think they're probably even going to be releasing this onto the Nintendo Switch too at some point in the future. I think that would have been very cool to see. Unfortunately, it's not there, which makes me question, where is the next multiplayer? What is being worked on in the background? It does seem like Halo Studios is planning on spinning up multiple Halo games here and not waiting 5, 6, 7 years to develop the next one in the franchise going forward here, especially since they're using Unreal Engine 5 and there's way more developers that can understand it and use it and help build these games. I think we're going to be getting a lot of Halo content, which has me extremely excited. And then you think about, with the whole multi-platform strategy, they have to get more people playing in it. They have to get more people spending money on it to give us a lot more of these games, as they are going to be more expensive to make with the way that the industry is going. So Halo Campaign Evolved 2026. I'm pumped for this going. I'm going to play it again. The Halo's game that I'll play the campaign over and over and over again, because I always find it extremely fun. And speaking of where Xbox games are going, there's still the question is what's happening with Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2. With the whole ABK trial, Call of Duty was supposed to be on the Nintendo Switch. It's not there yet. It will be going forward. They've already said, yes, they will be coming. We don't know when. Probably next year will be the first one. But Xbox has also now reconfirmed their commitment to supporting the Nintendo Switch 2. This is Phil Spencer telling Famitsu that we are making efforts to lower the barrier of entry for people to play our games through services like Xbox Play Anywhere, which, I mean, to me, it's insane that this is not talked about enough. Xbox Play Anywhere is nowhere talked about enough. It is the best feature right now in any ecosystem out there in video games, comparatively to anything, because you're buying a game once, You're playing it on your PC, you're playing it on your console, you're playing it on the cloud. You get it everything from it. So it's pretty awesome. And then they say, and Xbox Game Pass. And however, if there are people who want to play our games on the PlayStation 5 or the Nintendo Switch 2, we would love for them to play our games on those platforms. In that regard, we received excellent support from both Sony Interactive Entertainment and Nintendo. So if you're a Switch 2 owner, you're going to be getting these games at some point. I wonder which ones they're going to be starting with, but I'm thinking Halo Campaign Evolve will get there. It just maybe not right away if it can handle all the UE5 stuff that they are putting within that game, because UE5 still is pretty taxing, and we see some of the issues with games with UE5 with the stuttering and the popping. And from the previews of Halo Campaign Evolve, we have heard and seen that they have those UE5 bugginess right now, but I'm assuming here they will be able to get those worked out by 2026. It seemed pretty confident showing off the trailer of the game and then giving actual play test for it. So I believe 2026 the game will be polished and they're not going to drop the ball on that. And if they do, that'll be something that everyone's going to talk about, which you can't have that taking away from the experience, especially people's first experience on a different platform playing a game they may have never played before. Now, everyone's always talking about Xbox being dead. It's obviously not dead. In fact, I think it's probably doing better than it has ever done before as a company, as a division, as the amount of money that they make, with the amount of games that they do put out. If you look at the production the Xbox has had in 2025 and even in 2024, and then going forward into 2026, it's not even close. The Xbox first party output is beating PlayStation in terms of the amount of stuff that they are putting out here on a consistent basis as of right now. And that will probably continue going forward just because they have so many games and so many studios. Now, the performance of Xbox is always being called into question. Are they sustainable? Are they not? Well, there is this here, which I think really points to the success right now of their division. As a gamer, does this matter? I think it matters in the sense that you're going to be still getting games. But from the business perspective, this means that the Xbox is going in the right direction. It says Microsoft's Xbox gaming division has surpassed an Xbox performance goal, impacting the compensation of CEO Satya Nadella and other senior executives, first time since 2020. The target was 14% growth, and Xbox hit 15%. Microsoft workers' pay has slightly increased as well. So it's growing. It's hitting their targets. It's passing their targets. Xbox is going in the right direction in terms of growth. We have some responses here saying sounds like they're doing something right despite all the talking heads on the internet saying they are doomed, which, that's always going to happen. Any news that comes out that's semi-negative, a little bit negative, or very negative, Xbox is dead the next day to everyone on the internet. This person says, so the Xbox gaming division is actually growing and making a lot of money, but CFO Amy Hood is asking for 30% now. We might see the future of that corporation shutting down division that generates billions of revenue with 15% yearly growth because other divisions make more money. And I just don't see that happening. It's growing. It is bringing in a ton of money. What would be the point of shutting it down now at this point? It just doesn't make any sense. We have this. It shows that what us longtime enthusiasts consider success and what the top of the house and investors consider success don't match. This isn't necessarily a good thing for some fans, but it's reality. Longtime fans of the brand aren't the only ones voting with their wallets. And I would agree. I mean, the general sentiment of Xbox online, if it is negative, this a stat like this is showing that negative sentiment on Twitter, where everyone's yelling into the void, saying Xbox is dead, and all the influencers are putting their angry and sad faces on thumbnails and saying Xbox is dead, is not actually the reality of the situation. And there are most people are actually who are interested in Xbox are paying money into it and helping it grow because they like what the services that are being offered. And that's probably a lot of people who just don't pay attention to the online gaming banter that goes on a daily basis. And that's where you're going to get most of your growth. And that's where you're going to get new consumers. People that are generally talking about video games on a daily basis are either already consumers or consumers that at some point were a consumer of the brand, or a consumer that never really even cared, never used it. And no matter what happens, will always be on the competition's platform rather than on Xbox. So Obviously, something is going good here. And then I think their financial reports are also this week, and we'll get more information on exactly how good or bad Xbox is doing. But I have a sneaky suspicion that they are going to report some pretty good numbers here, which will cause even more outrage online, because you'll have everybody saying, well, they're making all this money, but they raise Game Pass and the 30%. And so no matter what, it's going to be negative news towards Xbox when that stuff does come out. Forza Motorsport, we heard and we had seen rumors that they were closing the studio. The game was canceled. Obviously, they had came out and debunked that. And now we have some more information on that. That is still good news if you want to believe them or not, if they're just trying to keep people happy right now by saying this. But Turn 10 here is saying that Forza Motorsport is in debt despite scaling back at Turn 10 Studios. We have here a quote from Phil Spencer in Forza. This was in Japanese. It was translated. He says, regarding Forza Motorsport, we sometimes need to shift our focus to games that are released sooner. We understand the reaction many people had when we scaled back Turn 10 Studios. We have a large number of games we want to support carefully, and sometimes we give development teams a little more time to avoid putting them under strain. So that basically just sounds like they had to take resources from Turn 10 and bring them over to work on Forza Horizon 6 with Playground Games. That's basically what that is telling us when he's saying that they had to take the resources for a game that is releasing earlier. So Turn 10's still there. Forza Motorsport is still up and running. They're still supporting the game. And the question is, are they going to get enough support for it now to move forward if they want to make a new one in the future? That is something that we don't know yet. And because they've reduced their staff by a decent amount, I think 50% or so, we'll see if they ramp it up at a different time, because everything is always fluid and moving here. Maybe there'll be a time where there's employees from Playground that go and help make the next Forza Motorsport when it's time to start developing the next one in the series. You never know how this does end up working. And finally, PlayStation, no matter how you slice it, this generation, they have not had the output that they generally do have. The types of games, lots of remasters and remakes, and one major game basically a year. It doesn't cut it if you're a fan of their exclusives. Like that doesn't make the console, I would say, worth having if you are only playing their exclusives, because a lot of them do end up also landing on to PC. I do think we're going to get to a point in the next year or so, 2026, maybe 2027, where a bunch of stuff that they have been working on is going to start coming out. But I also believe the games as a service and multiplayer games set them back a ton in terms of their output. And now with one of those canceled multiplayer games, we have some screenshots, and that is the God of War one. They were really going all out here for games as a service multiplayer with all of their major IPs, because they know they need those styles of games to help support make their major single player games. But this says here, God of War multiplayer game would have returned to Greece, that the screenshots do reveal. MP first. They've been reliable information for Perfect Dark and Everwild with screenshots for those games and stuff. And they say the outlet has found screenshots of the canceled God of War multiplayer title, and the source provided them with a ton of the screenshots. You can see them here. It's just areas, artifacts, things like that within the game itself, but it looks like they were returning to Greece. You can see kind of how they were making these levels, verticality. You're going to be running around, jumping from platforms, and it actually looks like it could have been pretty fun depending on what the overall concept was. But you can think about all of the types of powers you would have as gods in this game, maybe multiple different Greek gods you'd be fighting against each other. Like that could have been actually a pretty fun game in terms of the multiplayer perspective. But obviously they went back and they decided that is not the direction they want to take this. They canceled multiple multiplayer games over the last year or so, and that has hurt their production. That has hurt their output from PlayStation first party studios. Will they get back on track in 2026? We know Wolverine is coming. I think at some point in the next few years, we're going to have a major showcase, probably 2026. We'll have a major PlayStation showcase, and then there will be games that we don't even know are in development that they do show off, and they will be having a stronger output for the beginning of PlayStation 6. That's just my prediction. I don't know, but the output of games from first parties, especially when you compare Xbox to PlayStation, it's night and day at this point. Xbox is rolling right now with their releases. PlayStation, they release great games. There just isn't that many of them that they have been putting out. But I'm going to end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.